Hello, everyone, and welcome one more time. It is way dark in here. Let's get some lights on the scene, shall we? I am the Colonist, once again bringing to you a storyline update, the storyline update leading up to the end of the year 2023. What a wild ride it has been. And now you are here to see and to bear witness to all of the storylines that are going on. I'm going to break it down for y'all so everybody knows what's going on between now and December 31st, which is day 2 of our 2-day extravaganza, Oblivion, which is what we are slowly but surely working towards as we march our way through December. Whether it's snowy, whether it's sunny, whether your eggs are firm or runny, we are going to bring you the greatest wrestling action from this side of YouTube all around the world and the interwebs today. Let's get some lights on first, shall we? And I'd like to tell you all, as I get the lights going, because I was trying to do something festive and it is just not being very festive. So let's get some lights going here on this handy dandy Apple phone. And once this decides, the Wi-Fi will work. There it is. There we go. That's better. That's better. That's definitely better. So anyway, in the midst of this backdrop, let's bring to you everything we got to bring to you. Let's start with next week, because we have 3 Saturday Night Hype matches leading up to our actual pre-show, which is a 3-match pre-show, and then finally our 2-day event is going to be on December 30th and 31st, bringing to you 2 4-match cards that are going to have every title on the line in CIW, which we have not had since Autumn Asylum. Cannot wait to bring to you that. But before we get there, we have our first mixed tag match as Symbiote Spider-Man and Black Cat tomorrow take on the other Rangers in Skylar and Sydney, the Blue Ranger and the Pink Ranger, and we will see what comes out of that. The week following, we've got Prince of Persia, who demanded a rematch against Sephiroth, who he faced just a few months ago at Hollow Wrestling, I believe. And those two are going to have a rematch. We will see who comes out of that. And then the week following, we have a hardcore triple threat tag team match. Those are always mayhem. We got to give you a little bit of mayhem before the end of the year. That's the way we like it. And this is 3 very prominent teams right now in CIW. I'm very happy about the way our tag team division has progressed. As you can see by this wonderful tag belt behind me, it is very revered by Michael Corleone and myself, hence the shirt as well, which now stands for Free the Revival. But in any case, we have the Greasy Green Gigolos going up against Tenacious E, going up against Rain and Ermac. So you have got a great triple threat hardcore tornado tag, falls count anywhere. It's just going to be Car Crash City. And it is all leading up to our pre-show on December 23rd. All of these are on Saturday. That's the way we like to do it. 9 p.m. Eastern time, which means it's 6 p.m. Pacific. I believe that's how it works. So you can catch us at any time by liking, sharing, subscribing, and switching that bell button to all, so you will know anytime that we post, and usually well beforehand, or at least I try to get to well beforehand. And that is the way that we like to do things. And you're also saving a referee in the process. Our referees get caught in the line of fire very frequently. So any sort of opportunity to give them the help they need is a huge plus across the board. On the pre-show, we've got a couple of matches. We've got Mario going one-on-one against Riddick in a match that is based in and rooted upon Riddick assaulting Mario, who was supposed to tag with Waluigi at Autumn Asylum, and that didn't quite come to fruition because Riddick was on the assault. Now, it just so happened that Wario happened to step into his old position as Team Mischief, and they came up victorious against the Shades of Black. We're going to get talking about them in actually just a second. So Mario wants a little revenge and challenged Riddick one-on-one. Riddick has got a pretty large set of momentum on his side, but will Mario be able to capitalize on that? We will find out on the 23rd, as well as a huge 6-man tag match has been booked for Oblivion. Nintendo, Team Nintendo, Wario, Waluigi, and Mario going up against the Shades of Black. It is going to be a huge 6-man tag match. We don't do many of those on main cards, but this one was so huge that we had to get it on. So that will be taking place on one of the 2 days of Oblivion. I'm not going to give away our entire set of the card, but that will be taking place at Oblivion, just a normal 6-man tag as it is reported. And we will figure out whether, because the Shades of Black were not happy. When I say they were not happy, the gossip, we talked about them back in, what was it, March, before we started going on the King of the Spring, or I guess it was April. All of that has so boiled over that whenever they lose, it's a riot in that locker room. Actually, I feel bad for the cleaning facilities of these places, because they trash the whole place, just yelling at each other. It's not a pleasant feeling. And Wario and Waluigi coming back to defeat them did not sit well, and therefore that's why this match has come to be. But we will find out who the better team is come Oblivion on December 30th and 31st, 2 consecutive nights, the way we like to do it. In addition, in that pre-show, we have got another feud that is going to be continued, as Dave Chappelle definitely wants a piece of James Marks, but Eminem says he wants to fight Dave Chappelle again. So we're going to see a rematch between Eminem and Dave Chappelle. That is our main event of the pre-show. Now that we know that James Marks has taken the side of Eminem, how will that change things? And will an official be able to prove that Dave Chappelle is in fact better than Eminem, and it won't take that kind of shady officiating to garner the fake Slim Shady a W here in CIW? And that is the way that we are trying to get things done. And that is going to be your main event. And we also have, in that same rhetoric, we also have Johnny Cage, who was on the wrong side of the Forgotten Fighters. I got to put my glasses on here. I'm getting a little dizzy. But the Forgotten Fighters, as we know them as Sagat, Simon Belmont, Nathan Von Schrader. Hi, everybody, by the way. Just wanted to make sure y'all got acknowledged, Hawk Boy and CJ. And what's going on in the Forgotten Fighters realm is they, of course, were successful at Arnhem Asylum, but they did fall victim to an L at the hands of Rain and Ermac, who are on our pre-show in a Saturday Night Hype match, as I just mentioned. And as a result, they are now trying to bully Johnny Cage, who came to the aid of Ken Masters, who is starting, and we'll get to them in just a second, what's going on with Ken and Sagat after the super kicks in the parking lot that took Sagat out and actually caused a fair fight between Rain and Ermac and the Forgotten Fighters. And I'm very proud of Rain, and I'm very proud of Ermac for getting that win, fair and or square. But as a result, the Forgotten Fighters have been given the task of dealing with Johnny Cage, and Johnny does not have a partner. So what is going to happen right now, it is booked as a handicap match between Simon Belmont, Nathan Von Schrader versus Johnny Cage. However, Michael Corleone has given us the caveat that should Johnny be able to find a partner in time, he will be able to have that partner with him, and it's not just going to be a tag match. Because this is meant to be a we need to cripple you moment, they are going to be wrestling in an elimination tornado tag tables match. That's right. Pre-show means carnage incarnate. Johnny Cage versus the Forgotten Fighters elimination tag tables. Will Johnny find a partner in time? Can he find a partner in time? Will anyone step up to the plate and fight the Forgotten Fighters, who have really made more of a name for themselves? They're a lot less forgotten than maybe they should have. They are now adequately named, but it all depends on how their leader's going to fare. And that kind of leads us into the next bit, because that's our pre-show, which means everything I'm telling you going forward is all main show material. Ken Masters, this is such a long time coming. To recap everything, Sagat betrayed Ken Masters basically at the beginning of the relaunch in 2021 into 2022. That was the first wave, and then we had most of 2022 where we had to take that break. But there was unresolved business, and then we came back at the end of 2022, and they had a matchup where basically if Sagat or Ken Masters won, whoever won, the opponent would have a ban on themselves where they would not be able to wrestle on the same card as that man. Sagat won that street fight as Street Fighters, and as a result, Ken Masters now had to be only on pre-shows no matter what. Sagat's on the main card. Ken Masters has got, and Sagat just bullied the holy hell out of Ken Masters over and over and over until finally at the end of that match at Autumn Asylum that the Forgotten Fighters won, Ken Masters struck back. And he struck back hard. And it so happens that because Oblivion is later than the 1 year mark, which was December 18th at the time of that stipulation will be lifted by Oblivion, which means Ken Masters will be back on main cards. Huge news. And of course, the man that Ken Masters wants to get his hands on is the man who caused that man to be forced to pre-shows where you make less money. Let's be real. It's just the way it goes. Ken Masters versus Sagat. 20-minute, no disqualification Iron Man match. I'm getting all the gimmick matches out of the way. I'm getting them all there. On one of the days of Oblivion, these two are going to have 20 minutes to tear each other apart limb from limb. I am not responsible, and I am being told that we are getting Jimmy Corderas to referee and officiate that matchup because of just how unhinged those two are going to be allowed to be. And that is the way that feuds have to be settled sometimes, and it all gets settled at Oblivion. Well, I mentioned titles, so let's talk about more what's happening in the World of Championship matches. We saw the number one contenders match at Thanks Grappling 3 of Yuna beating, convincingly, Black Cat. So Yuna has now a match against Natalie Portman for the Women's Championship. And the real question is, how is the Natalie World Order going to get involved? Because we know they are, but I've heard word, because Natalie Portman has a new cologne that's just come out, and Padme thinks it smells terrible. Like terrible. But she also has not really loved how the Natalie World Order has gone about their business. I mean, she's been team player, but there's definitely some reservations going on. She's going, Natalie, have you ever considered that maybe we'd be fighting on the wrong side? And that the thing we swore to protect is the very thing we have to destroy, or whatever the movie quote is. I don't remember. But that's as close as I could get, and I'm sounding like a separatist. Anyway, the question is, how is the Natalie World Order going to get involved? That's the major part. And can Yuna, who has been mowing over opponents since her arrival here, can she take down the first ever women's champion who has held on to that championship since it debuted at Doomsday? Will she be able to take control? We will find out come Oblivion. In other news, because we mentioned the Team Nintendo versus Shades of Black match, another match that is a little bit personal. And this match actually became about because of Thanks Grappling 3 just a week and change ago, that is. And Mr. Clean is back, confirmed back. Mr. Clean has come back, and he is now a little bit upset, really upset, really angry, like white hot with anger, that Captain Pollution actually recruited him in the first place to be as filthy as he was. Now that he's back to being disciplined, he goes, oh my God, what am I doing with my life? And so he wants Captain Pollution bad. One-on-one, big fight, singles match. They're going to go right after each other. Now, originally, Mr. Clean wanted to challenge Captain Pollution for the greatest championship. And I was told that they cannot sanction the championship match here on CIW grounds, on the grounds that it's not sanctioned in TAW either. So therefore it has no clearance, which means that it has to be done by like the Mag Nation, like originally. I look, it was a long document. They sent us like a stack of paperwork this big. It was 54,000 words. And I left Mike and the attorneys to go try and dissolve it. So the point being, it can't be for the greatest championship, but it is for the pride of Mr. Clean in his first match after being rehabilitated at the hands of Captain Planet, who has agreed to be by his side should he need it, but he doesn't want to get involved because that's not the way that Captain Planet rolls. Don Cheadle's got standards. Will those standards be what they claim to be? And will Mr. Clean be able to beat Captain Pollution, who is on such a downward spiral right now that does the greatest championship even mean anything anymore? Can anyone help Captain Pollution? What is there left for this man to do? Can he claim Dr. Dirty back if the Captain Pollution wins? Because for all I know, if Captain Pollution wins, will he re-dirtify Mr. Clean? Is that how this goes? We'll find out, folks. It's going to happen in Oblivion. So then we've got championship matches. We got another title match. We got the tag team championships. Now, Mike was so impressed by the effort that Chrono Cross took in defeating Tenacious E at Hollow Wrestling that Mike decided that for the first time in almost 9 years, and I don't know if they even actually competed for the championships back in 2014. Now that I think of it, I don't think they did. So for the first time since they have ever been a tag team in 9 years, they are getting tag team championship matchup. It is DC, whatever iteration of them decides to show up, against Chrono Cross, the Sons of Lavos themselves, Magus and Chrono, who finally vanquished what they had going as a several month-long feud between those two and finally came out after the cage match. I wouldn't necessarily say unscathed, but less scathed than Will Sasso, who I am being told will probably miss the rest of 2023. The poor guy, I mean, he got bodied. But he will survive, and we will see Will Sasso again. I promise you that, but we want him to be as 100% as he possibly can be heading into this deal. So that is the way we're going to try and have it done for Will. You know, I said, take your time. He's still getting paid. You know, he's not losing any funds because he got injured. You know, we're going to freeze his contract so he can continue working for us. We're really happy to have him on board. But the bigger story here is that Magus and Chrono finally get their shot. Will they be able to beat DC? Something that not many teams, actually no one has in quite some time. And which ones will we get? I've got a hunch because it seems like everyone else on the rest of DC is booked. So my suspicion is we are seeing Penguin and the Batman one more time and that tag team matchup because our main event of day one, this is the one I'm going to give you the position of. Day one's main event is a rematch for the Exceeds Championship. Aquaman, who won it from Noob Saibot with the help of the Joker. With the help of the Joker, Aquaman won his third Exceeds Championship, and Noob Saibot, the former three-time champion, wants his title back. So he will get his rematch in a one-on-one match to main event day one of Oblivion. So will he be able to capture that championship back? These two know each other inside and out, years in and years out of fighting. And once again, over the Exceeds Championship, who will come out on top of that? Who knows? We will find out come December 30th. And speaking of, we've got another grudge feud. Because speaking of the Joker, who I don't like speaking about at all, as you all know, I'm not a big fan of his, especially after what he did to the King of the Spring and the destruction of the sanctity of that King of the Spring tournament. He let Michael Corleone win and then broke his leg or had Batman break his leg in the parking lot after assaulting a Bizzle with Aquaman in that same parking lot onto my car, no less, in Hamden, very close to where AB and I live. And I'm still not happy about that. And I'm still waiting for the company car. But, you know, Mike's leg's been broken and there's been a lot of other things at hand, including the whipping of some Joker ass. And because Abe Bizzle had a championship match, a one-on-one, a non-title match against Aquaman, and he almost won, except the Flash screwed him out of that matchup as well, Mike and Abe Bizzle decided, we're not taking this anymore. Screw you guys. It's time that somebody teaches you a lesson. So we are going to have AB and Michael Corleone, the tag team, taking on Joker and the Flash. Tag match action on Oblivion. Grudge feud. These two teams are going after each other. It has been the Joker versus CIW and DC versus CIW in this respect, and we are not taking it anymore. We are not settling for it anymore, and it's time that the CIW proves that we're not going to do what TAW did and just let the Joker walk all over us when he decides he wants to be a prick about the way he goes about his business. That's not how CIW functions. When we get messed with in our business, we take care of business. And we're going to have AB and Corleone do some just desserts over the Corleone's bitch known as the Joker and the Flash come Oblivion. But that is not our main event. Our main event is a match that I can't really believe I'm even saying the circumstances around, because nobody thought at Autumn Asylum that Shiva, the man who defeated 1,116 gods and then kicked up that number to 1,165 in his wins in between Ragnarok and his competitive tenure in CIW, mowed over everyone in sight and did the unthinkable by beating Kratos for that CIW Heavyweight Championship at Autumn Asylum using Kratos' own finisher, the Lion's Head Jackhammer, and Kratos, humiliated, infuriated, had enough and went after the Grim Reaper. And when I say that the Kratos demolished the Grim Reaper, he rattled those bones 6 ways from Sunday, and every time that the Grim Reaper tried to counter a German, Kratos made him pay for it. It was just annihilation of the Grim Reaper, something I didn't expect from a man who had beaten Satan twice this year. It made him look like he was just another chump on the street. And that shocked everyone. Not Kratos demolishing Grim Reaper, but Shiva beating Kratos. Kratos' anger, his revenge, his rematch comes at the main event of day 2 of Oblivion. Come December 31st, the last day of the year, you get to see Kratos versus Shiva. The stakes have never been higher. The CIW World's title on the line. There is no better time to be a part of CIW. And this is all, folks, just on our march to a huge milestone, which I don't want to give away much yet. But as I've said before, and I'm going to mention, we have got a huge lineup for our 10th year anniversary. Can you believe it, folks? 10 years old. CIW has stuck around, albeit with some breaks in between, but we are still here and we are still alive, and it is 10 years that we have thrived, mostly. And as such, we are going to give you a huge, huge week of events starting January 27th and going all the way until the actual day, the launch day, February 4th, which will be exactly 10 years to the day that CIW first laid its mark on YouTube and the interwebs. A 7-day extravaganza. I've done 2-day shows. I've done 3-day shows. I've done 4-day shows. I am giving you 7 full days of wrestling extravaganza. The big, something that will never, and I mean never, will be replicated again so long as this company stands, because we're only getting started, folks. But a huge 7-day extravaganza, plus Saturday Night High matches leading up to that, and a pre-show. You know, we've got it all loaded up for you. That is what CIW brings to the table. And I will add one final little caveat here. Before I go, I'm not going to mention too much, but I found something major development. Now, it's been a while between TAW and CIW and our little feud. You know, we've made up and we've had a great year in between. But I will mention something has changed. I'm not saying that anyone is at fault. I'm not saying that anyone is wrong. I'm not putting any blame on anybody. We have just discovered something here at CIW that we find very interesting. And we are going to share with you what that is come the pre-show on December 23rd. I am not going to give away what that is. We're still not quite sure how to process the information, actually. It's been a little while since we made the discovery, but it was such a landmark discovery that actually changes the entire course of weight and the dynamic of how CIW is and how we have presented ourselves and the way that we have reflected in the moments since the beginning of this year, in the year since March. And that development we will bring to you at the pre-show once we figure out what to do with the news. But trust me, folks, if you followed anything that TAW and CIW were doing last year, heading into about March of this year, this is going to be news you will not want to miss. It's the news that they don't want you to hear. It's the news they don't want you to know. And it's the news I promise and CIW promises to give you. That news is the truth. But how you get the truth, you're going to have to wait for that. Because we got some Saturday Night Hype matches to go first, baby. Thank you all for coming to this storyline video, and we will see you tomorrow for the first of our 3 Saturday Night Hypes. Stay classy, folks, and don't be lying to people.